It started as just another electrifying night on The Tonight Show until Jennifer Lopez saw something that made her stop mid-sentence and changed everything forever. Studio 6B buzzed with superstar energy. Tonight, Jennifer Lopez was back to discuss her latest film and journey through dance. The New York skyline glittered through massive windows, creating the perfect backdrop for another captivating conversation with J.Lo. Jimmy had been looking forward to this interview for weeks. Conversations with J.Lo always touched on perseverance and pushing boundaries. What nobody noticed was Isabella Rodriguez, 22, in row 4, seat 11. She sat perfectly still in her wheelchair, dancer's posture evident. On her lap rested a worn Swan Lake program from 3 years ago. Isabella had won tickets through a radio contest. Her physical therapist encouraged her to find new inspiration, new way to connect with dance that once defined her. The program contained memories of her last performance before the accident. Isabella had been preparing for her soloist debut when a stage light fell during rehearsal, crushing her spine. The show opened with Jimmy's energy. When he introduced Jennifer Lopez, the applause was thunderous. Jennifer walked onto stage in a stunning silver dress, moving with characteristic confidence. She hugged Jimmy and settled into the guest chair. "Jennifer Lopez, everybody," Jimmy said, settling behind his wooden desk. "Thank you so much for being here. I have to start by saying, watching you perform is like watching pure joy in motion. Dance has always been such a central part of who you are. What is it about movement that speaks to your soul?" Jennifer smiled that radiant smile. "Dance has been my language since I was a girl in the Bronx. It's how I express what words can't capture. When I'm moving, I feel most like myself. Dance is freedom, storytelling, life itself." As Jennifer spoke, her eyes scanned the audience. She saw Isabella in row 4, sitting with perfect posture, despite her wheelchair, moving her upper body slightly to unheard rhythm. Something about the young woman's dancer's grace, unmistakable even while seated, spoke to Jennifer. "Actually, Jimmy," Jennifer said, her voice taking on a more personal tone, "I'm seeing something beautiful in the audience right now that's reminding me why I fell in love with dance in the first place." Jimmy looked curious, sensing that Jennifer was about to take the conversation somewhere unplanned. Jennifer stood and walked toward the stage edge, finding Isabella again. "The young woman in row 4, I can see you moving to music only you can hear. Are you a dancer?" Isabella looked around frantically, pointing to herself. The audience turned to look at her, and she felt her face flush. Of all people to notice her, it had to be Jennifer Lopez. "Yes, you," Jennifer said gently. "I recognize the way you move. Once a dancer, always a dancer. What's your name?" Isabella raised her hand slightly. "Isabella Rodriguez. Tell me about your dance background." Isabella's eyes filled with tears. "I was a ballet dancer with the Metropolitan Ballet Company, but I had an accident 3 years ago. I can't dance anymore." The studio fell quiet. "What kind of accident?" Jennifer asked softly. "A stage light fell during rehearsal," Isabella said. "It damaged my spinal cord. I'm paralyzed from the waist down. I was supposed to debut as a soloist the next week." Jennifer felt something break inside her chest. To imagine losing dance at the moment of achieving a lifelong dream was unbearable. "When you watch dance now, what do you feel?" Isabella considered the question seriously. "Grateful and heartbroken. Grateful for those years of dancing, heartbroken that I thought my story was over." Jimmy walked down and joined Jennifer, both focused on Isabella. "You said you thought your story was over, past tense. Are you starting to think differently?" Isabella looked at the Swan Lake program in her lap. "I'm trying to. My physical therapist says being a dancer isn't just about my legs, it's about my heart, my soul." Jennifer felt tears forming. This was exactly the resilience she'd spent her career trying to inspire. Isabella, some of the most powerful dancing I've seen has been done by people who move differently than others expect. Dance isn't about perfection, it's about expression, about feeling music in your soul. Jennifer made decision. Would you mind if I came up there? I have experience with being told my dancing wasn't what people expected. You'd really do that? Isabella asked, amazed. Jennifer reached Isabella's row and sat beside her wheelchair. For a moment, a global superstar and a young woman, rebuilding her identity, sat together, connected by their shared language of movement. Tell me about your last performance, Jennifer said simply. Isabella's composure broke. It was Swan Lake. I was going to dance Odette for the first time. I'd worked my entire life for that moment. And then, she gestured to her wheelchair. Jennifer touched the program in Isabella's lap. When I started dancing, I was told I was too curvy, too ethnic for classical dance. But I learned that the people who told me I was wrong were actually wrong about what dance could be. But I can't move my legs anymore, Isabella said. Can you move your arms? Feel music in your heart? Express emotion through your upper body? Jennifer asked. Yes, always. Then you can still dance. Maybe not the way you danced before, but in a new way that's uniquely yours. Jennifer stood and addressed the studio. I want to show everyone what dance looks like when we stop limiting ourselves. The Roots, can you play something slow and beautiful? The band began playing a gentle flowing melody. Isabella, close your eyes and feel the music. Don't think about what you can't do. Just feel what the music makes you want to express. Isabella closed her eyes, and as the music washed over her, her body began to respond. Her arms started to move gracefully. Her torso swayed, her head tilted with the melody. Now open your eyes. When Isabella opened her eyes, she saw Jennifer moving alongside her wheelchair, incorporating Isabella's arm movements into her own dance, creating a duet between a seated dancer and a standing one. The audience watched in amazed silence as Jennifer Lopez and Isabella Rodriguez created something entirely new together. The music swelled, and their movement became more confident, more joyful. When the music ended, the silence lasted for heartbeats before the audience exploded in applause. It wasn't just applause for a performance. It was recognition that art finds a way. Jennifer knelt beside Isabella again. How did that feel? Like coming home to myself, Isabella said, breathless. Like remembering that I'm still a dancer, just a different kind of dancer. Jimmy joined them, clearly moved. Isabella, that was beautiful. How has this moment changed how you think about your future? I've been so focused on what I lost that I forgot to look for what I might gain. Maybe there are ways to dance I haven't discovered yet. Jennifer turned to the camera. To every artist who's been told their circumstances limit their creativity, please don't let other people's narrow definitions become your prison. But Jennifer had one more surprise. She pulled out her phone and made a call. Hi, it's Jennifer. I want to connect you with someone special. She handed the phone to Isabella. This is Maria Santos, director of the Adaptive Dance Company in Los Angeles. Isabella's conversation was brief, but when she handed the phone back, she was crying tears of joy. They want to meet me, Isabella said in amazement. Jennifer smiled. Sometimes the end of one dream is the beginning of another you never knew you needed. The show ended differently that night. Jimmy made an announcement. Tonight, we learned that creativity doesn't have limitations. Only our imaginations do. Jennifer added, and we learned that sometimes the most beautiful art comes from the courage to redefine what's possible. Jennifer reached Isabella's row, and the people around them shifted to make space. She knelt down beside Isabella's wheelchair, and for a moment, a global superstar and a young woman rebuilding her identity sat together in the middle of a talk show audience, connected by their shared language of movement. and music. Tell me about your last performance, Jennifer said simply. Isabella's composure broke completely. It was Swan Lake. I was going to dance Odette for the first time. I'd worked my entire life for that moment. The costume fitting was perfect, the rehearsals were going beautifully, and then she gestured to her wheelchair. Jennifer reached over and gently touched the program in Isabella's lap. Isabella, can I share something with you? When I started dancing professionally, I was told I was too curvy, too ethnic, too street for classical dance. I was encouraged to give up ballet and stick to commercial dance. Isabella listened with intense attention. But you know what I learned? Jennifer continued. The people who told me I was wrong for dance were actually wrong about what dance could be. I didn't need to fit into their definition. I needed to expand the definition to include me. Isabella looked confused. But I can't move my legs anymore. How can I expand dance to include paralysis? Jennifer smiled. Isabella, can you move your arms? Yes. Can you feel music in your heart? Yes. Always. Can you express emotion through your upper body? I think so. Then you can still dance, Jennifer said, simply. Maybe not the way you danced before, but in a new way that's uniquely yours. Jennifer stood up and addressed the entire studio. Everyone, I want to tell you about Isabella Rodriguez. She's 22 years old. She's a trained ballet dancer, and she's been letting other people's definition of what dance should look like convince her that her dancing days are over. The audience was completely quiet, hanging on every word. But here's what I know about dance, Jennifer continued. Dance is about expressing your soul through movement. Any movement, all movement. Isabella's soul didn't change when her legs stopped working. Her capacity for artistry didn't disappear. She just needs to find new ways to let it out. Jennifer turned back to Isabella. Isabella, I want to do something with you, but first, I need you to trust me. Will you trust me? Isabella nodded, tears streaming down her face. I want to show everyone here what dance looks like when we stop limiting ourselves to other people's expectations. Jennifer said. She reached into her purse and pulled out her phone. The Roots, can you play something slow and beautiful? The studio's live band began playing a gentle, flowing melody that filled the space with warmth and possibility. Isabella, Jennifer said, I want you to close your eyes and just feel the music. Don't think about what you can't do. Just feel what the music makes you want to express. Isabella closed her eyes, and as the music washed over her, her body began to respond. Her arms started to move gracefully, her torso swayed slightly, her head tilted with the melody. It was subtle, but unmistakably beautiful. Now open your eyes, Jennifer said softly. When Isabella opened her eyes, she saw Jennifer moving alongside her wheelchair, incorporating Isabella's arm movements into her own dance, creating a duet between a seated dancer and a standing one. The audience watched in amazed silence as Jennifer Lopez, one of the world's most famous dancers, and Isabella Rodriguez, a young woman redefining her relationship with movement, created something entirely new together. The music swelled, and their movement became more confident, more joyful. Isabella's upper body flowed with the grace of her ballet training, while Jennifer moved around, and with her, proving that dance partnerships could transcend physical limitations. When the music ended, the silence lasted for several heartbeats before the audience exploded in applause. But it wasn't just applause for a performance, it was recognition of something deeper, the understanding that art finds a way, that creativity transcends limitations, that beauty can emerge from any body that feels music in its soul. Jennifer knelt beside Isabella again. How did that feel? Like coming home to myself, Isabella said, still breathless from the experience. Like remembering that I'm still a dancer, just a different kind of dancer. Jimmy joined them, clearly moved by what he just witnessed. Isabella, that was absolutely beautiful. How has this moment changed how you think about your future? I think, Isabella said slowly, I've been so focused on what I lost that I forgot to look for what I might gain. Maybe there are ways to dance that I haven't discovered yet. Jennifer turned to address the camera directly. To every artist, every performer, every person who's been told that their circumstances limit their creativity, please don't let other people's narrow definitions become your prison. Art always finds a way to break free. But Jennifer had one more surprise. She pulled out her phone again and made a call, right there in front of everyone. Hi, it's Jennifer? Yes, I'm calling from The Tonight Show. I want to connect you with someone special. She handed the phone to Isabella. Isabella, this is Maria Santos, the director of the Adaptive Dance Company in Los Angeles. They specialize in creating performance opportunities for dancers with different physical abilities. Isabella's eyes went wide as she took the phone. The conversation was brief, but when she handed the phone back to Jennifer, she was crying tears of joy rather than sorrow. They want to meet me, Isabella said in amazement. They said they'd been looking for someone with classical training who could help them develop new choreographic approaches. Jennifer smiled. Sometimes the end of one dream is the beginning of another one you never knew you needed. The show ended differently that night. Instead of the usual quick goodbye and credits, Jimmy made an announcement that would change how The Tonight Show approached stories of resilience and reinvention. Tonight, we learned something important from Isabella Rodriguez and Jennifer Lopez. We learned that creativity doesn't have limitations, only our imaginations do. Jennifer added her own message, still standing beside Isabella, and we learned that sometimes the most beautiful art comes from the courage to redefine what's possible. Isabella returned home to New Jersey with excitement about her future as a dancer. She moved to Los Angeles and joined the Adaptive Dance Company, becoming both performer and choreographer. 6 months later, Isabella premiered Swan Song, a ballet performed entirely from a wheelchair. The piece toured nationally, inspiring dancers to expand understanding of what dance could be. Jennifer became a patron of the company and collaborated with Isabella on projects challenging audiences to see dance through new eyes. Jimmy learned that sometimes the most important conversations happen with the person in the audience, whose story reminds everyone that resilience looks different than expected. Isabella learned that identity isn't fixed, dreams can evolve, and sometimes the most beautiful art emerges from courage to dance with challenges. Because art doesn't require perfection. It requires authenticity, courage, and willingness to let beauty emerge wherever it chooses. It wasn't just late-night television. It was proof that sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is dance exactly as you are. Some dreams don't end. They just learn new ways to move